I want to talk about an issue here that is incredible because, as you know, I've been doing a lot of work on Bill C-293. This is the bill that's going to outlaw meat in this country and put us in the back pocket of the World Health Organization. But guess what? Even if Bill C-293 passes or doesn't pass, Canada's already aligned itself with the World Health Organization and globalists to ensure that we have lost control of our food policy, that we will be under the control of the globalists during any pandemic. We will not have the freedom to eat what we want, to produce what we want, to govern as a sovereign country. And so there's people out there, I'm not going to mention any names, who don't want to talk about Bill C-293 because it's not a problem. It's not an issue. And they take down their videos. Well, it's a problem, but it's not the only problem. It's worse. Let's have a look at this.
Published online by Children's Health Defence. It's a piece headlined, "Are Vaccine Passports Just Around the Corner? US, Canada, Mexico launch Pandemic Preparedness Initiative." Quote, "The US, Canada and Mexico last week launched a joint pandemic preparedness initiative that one critic warned could empower the World Health Organization to impose global control measures like vaccine passports and policies targeting the infodemic. I say this should scare the bejesus out of any and every sane and responsible individual. Let's remember, we're still very much in the aftermath of the so-called COVID, so-called pandemic. Let's keep in mind what we know about the lies of safe and effective, the propaganda we were fed around the clock about the need for lockdowns, the need for masks, for magic arrows on the floors of shops, all that malarkey. All of it exposed now for the psyop that it was. Quote, "The US, Canada and Mexico launched a joint pandemic preparedness initiative they said will unite the country's public health agencies around a One Health approach to addressing future pandemics. A critic of the new initiative warned the plan may empower the World Health Organization, the architect of the original One Health initiative, to impose global control measures like vaccine passports and new policies targeting the infodemic. Because this is an initiative from the WHO, I am deeply concerned," said Nicholas Holscher, an epidemiologist and fellow at the McCullough Foundation. "They appear to be seeking domain over plants, animals and humans, globalised central control over public health policies in all participating countries."
So I'm sure you're getting this. Nobody talks plainer or clearer than my friend Neil Oliver. But it doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter what Canadians want. The Liberal government is continuing on its progress, this process, to sign you up to the World Health Organization's international health treaties. So we don't have a choice. We're not being asked. It's not going to be a question in any election. It's not going to be a referendum. We are being told what's happening. C-293 might, for all we know, just be a smokescreen. While we're all focused on C-293, this is also happening at the same time. So even though C-293 looks like it's going to pass, even if it didn't, the Liberal government's already done the groundwork to abrogate your sovereignty, Canadian sovereignty, to the World Health Organization and to ensure that they call the shots, not Canada. This is already happening.
What they also know they need, I would say, to make everything else they have in mind actually have an effect, is control over the information. Is there to be no escape from these fraudsters? Back to the article. The WHO defines One Health as an integrated, unifying approach to balance and optimise the health of people, animals and the environment. That kind of language, that kind of robotic, automated AI language just puts the fear of God in me. It goes on, Public Health Canada says One Health considers the relationships between the health of humans, animals and the environment, suggesting future pandemics or public health threats may cross from animals to humans. The report also suggests that border health measures, including vaccine passports, could be implemented during a future pandemic or public health emergency. The report states, the implementation of border health measures at airports, seaports and land borders, such as screening of passengers, vaccination requirements, quarantine and entry restrictions, should be evidence-based and aimed to slow the introduction or spread of a pathogen in the region. Evidence-based? Seriously? These people have the brass neck to say in public that the implementation of whatever measures they might have in mind now should be based on evidence. Let's consider for a moment or two the kind of evidence we were beaten over the head with during those endless days in which we were ordered to trust the science. Watch this testimony here.
Fanatics who wants to vaccinate every person in this country, even though they are children who has very little risk for it, even though they have already had the COVID, that has undermined the trust in other vaccines enormously, creating enormous vaccine hesitancy.
So not allowing their provider or physician to determine the risk and the benefit.
Yeah, and also people themselves, because people know that about immunity. We learn that in school. People know that if you've had a disease, you had...
It wasn't until I came to Congress that I found out infection-acquired immunity was a novel concept.
Yeah, I guess we knew about it since 430 BC of the Athenian plague until 2020, and then we didn't know about it for 3 years, and now we know about it again. So,
and there it is. So this is already on the books. The Trudeau government's already in the process of making this happen for all of us. So while I was up in arms and here
resilience for emerging threats, you see here that they say an infodemic can be a health threat because it's the overabundance of information, accurate or not, which makes it difficult to get individuals to adopt behaviors that they want you to adopt. This is crazy town, meaning if you don't, it's information that would stop you from doing what they want you to do, even if it's true information. The fact that they wrote this down is crazy town. So we told you last month that the House of Representatives had passed this bill. It's the No WHO Pandemic Preparedness Treaty Without Senate Approval Act, which would require a supermajority vote in the Senate before the president can hand this power over to the WHO. This is currently being read in the Senate. If this does not pass, it will be up to the next president, based on their own whim, to decide whether we sign the pandemic treaty with the WHO or not. I'm fairly certain that Kamala Harris would sign it. I'm fairly certain Donald Trump would not. If anyone wants to disagree with me, you're free to do so. Now, one of the things that Representative Thomas Massie points out is that this treaty could open the way for other global treaties that would remove the U.S. power to make any decisions for his people. That includes going to war, stipulations about global trade. I'm going to let him explain, because this is terrifying, this idea of international treaties taking away our global sovereignty. Watch.
So I wish we had time to watch Representative Thomas Massie's full comments here. We want to get on to China. But before I do, so while I'm complaining about why somebody else took down their video of a couple of people I interviewed, I hope you all saw the interview I did with Camille El-Sheikh and Lisa Miron, who were talking about Bill C-293. I realized that it's not just Bill C-293. That the Trudeau government has already put everything in place so that the World Health Organization controls the next pandemic in Canada. And that pandemic can be anything this government or the World Health Organization, because they're working in concert, decides It is. That is what is frightening here. So we have lost control of this. This is why, thank God, Donald Trump was elected, because he took the United States out of the World Health Organization and will do so again. That's the kind of action that is required. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, folks. Don't listen to Justin Trudeau. We need this kind of attitude in Canada right now, because let me tell you, Justin Trudeau will fight tooth and nail to stay as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister of Canada, and he will use every trick in the Liberal handbook to do that. So we have to be vigilant, and we have to have perseverance to fight this battle to the end. As I've been saying since this station went on the air, we need to resolve to resist. And we need to fight for our free speech and our democratic rights to say what we believe, to speak, as John Diefenbaker said. And don't forget that t-shirt that's available out there in the store. I speak as a free Canadian, free to speak, free to believe in what I choose. And Justin Trudeau is not going to interfere with that. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right Resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.